Good answer.
Okay, so we're going to call this regular meeting of the Deep River Planning and Zoning Commission to order Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. It is 6:03 p.m. Roll call, Tony Bolduc, Chairman, Lisa DeMaria.
Here.
Alan Parody.
Here.
Stan Reinheimer is not here. Mary Stay not here. Daniel Smith is on vacation. Jonathan Kastner is not here. Sarah McElwicky.
Here.
Ready. And then not missing anybody. Okay, on to audience of citizens. Citizens may address the commission items that are not listed on the agenda. So we have some people from the audience here.
Although technically we have something that's not listed on the agenda that we can either add or just talk about now. I don't know.
Carol, what was it? Carol Beach to us.
I've talked to Zoe about this and I don't know if she passed it on, but I'm very interested in seeing what we can do down at the industrial park, not industrial. To rezone, cut the town property that's like a long stretch of land. It's got 4 buildings on it. Like cut it up so that each building can have its own piece of property underneath. I know it'll probably entail, some, not right away, but, easements, right? Because the septic is like here and then it goes to this building and it's in the parking lot, and that kind of thing. But some of the, 900 Commercial Drive is for sale. And it would be much cleaner, I think, for the town just to sell the land or, however we want to give the land to this person selling the building. And then we'll sort of wash our hands and try to be landlords because it just seems like that's not really good use of anybody's time trying to figure out rent. I've got a lot of people down there that have paid on this particular one. In fact, thousands of dollars. He came in to settle up before he put on the market. So I think it would be worth looking into just to maybe get us out of the landlord business or,
So I kind of did look at it with Zoe today. So there's a way to cut it up next to the one. So if we can get that on paper, you guys can take a look at it.
that would be great. I mean, I haven't presented it to the other selectmen yet or anything, but I think it would be. I talked to the town attorney and she said, there's probably a way to do it. It's going to be complicated because of some of the septic and the water coming in from here and all that, whatever. But I think it's worth looking into to see if we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
What's going on with the bulky waste transfer station
Which one?
up in Commerce?
The 400 Commercial Drive or
400.
it is still ongoing with in the court. So I think it's about a full week in SAG at the moment.
Yeah, it's been appealed. So they presented a site plan application to this commission a few months ago now,
Yeah.
which was denied.
For MSW.
Yes, on the basis of, well, there were a few bases. One was that they have been non-compliant based on the zoning regulations up to that point, and then the commission believed that it really should have been a special permit, not a site plan application. But that decision has been appealed. So the next steps are actually to convene this group with the attorney and their attorney. And that's.
What are the statistics in our favor?
It's the courts now. At this point, that's all, kind of where we're at. I think.
So it's all in the language that we're banking, that the court's gonna make a decision in our favor.
Correct.
Yeah.
Alan, what do you think about the language, Alan? Because you're the guru.
I have nothing to add.
That's basically it. The initial ZBA appeal was also already in court. So this is a separate matter, but obviously related because it's the same property. But
Thank you.
Actually, have one other thing. So down that end of Main Street, there are some first floor apartments that a resident came in complaining about because we don't allow, residential on the first floor. So, but then when you responded, you said it was zoned or it was, they had a permit for it or something. So how come they have that's a little different with our zoning than these, what units here that we don't allow any first floor?
So my understanding of that particular building is that it's not mixed use, it is just listed as a two-family home. So mixed use buildings do not permit first floor residential, but if it's a purely residential building, then that wouldn't apply. So that's why I looked at what the assessor record said and it listed it as a two-family. In which case there would be presumably a first floor apartment. So,
Well, they also have a basement there, correct? I mean, it's listed on, like realtor.com, like it's shown that it's multi-units or something. And
Yeah.
Right, they could have a shop in there. It's right on the main street there.
I think it's so. First, I would just say I've never trusted anything that's on a realty website. Like they don't know what they're talking about ever. They put like it doesn't like
I agree with that.
they put whatever they think will sell.
Right.
So, but from when I checked the assessor record, it listed it as a two-family.
Mhm.
So based on what I could see on like the town records, it's a two-family, not a mixed use. If it was a mixed use, then our current regulations would not permit it. But it's not listed as that.
Gotcha. They were renting the apartment. Like
Yeah.
it was on realtor. They're not selling it. But,
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious how come that different.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
Anybody else?
But also general note, don't trust realty websites
Any other?
and ask your town people.
So we're gonna back up into the agenda, what we're gonna add, you can remind me.
Downtown, basically it's a two-parter of Main Street Center, accelerated program update and linking it back to the downtown master plan. Because that's been dormant for a little bit, but this is a good time to come back to it.
So we're gonna put that under old business or new business? They like that one.
I mean, half of it is old business and half of it is.
I know, that's the problem.
Move new business above old business and put it all under new business.
Okay, so we need a vote to add the downtown accelerator and the Main Street plans to new business and shift new business to number 4.
So moved. Sorry, Cheryl.
Right?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to approval of minutes. So March 18th, 2026, regular meeting minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at them. Anything to add to them? Change? If not, need a motion.
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes for March 18th as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On the B, March 18th, 2026, regular meeting list of motions. Same.
Same thing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then April 1st, 2026, special meeting minutes.
I have them up now. They were not sent through on, so. Are you,
I will not. You want to take it over? I can share with you.
or wait, Nancy's already in. Do you, oh, she has, I printed them. Okay,
See that?
love that. Yeah, so that's easier. I mean, they're the most straightforward minutes ever because. We'll be at the top.
Well, I think.
No, I opened the email. Thank you.
Oops. No, right. Just never mind that's in there. Okay.
Which one? So I can share screen.
So it's fun. For some reason, they moved the frickin' thing again, so I don't know where to turn the waiting room off. So, I just make it.
It says here the consensus was to proceed with mixed use. I don't quite understand what that is pertaining to.
So that was where we were discussing whether or not they were gonna force. You can say they, as the state, they do regulate, couldn't say anything commercial. Could be residential, and we said we were gonna proceed with mixed use, so we can have what we have now. And if it came to a fight, we would have that fight.
Yes, that's clear.
Jog your memory.
Yep, well, I remembered, but I wasn't sure what that consensus, one, that it was consensus, two, that it was pertaining specifically to mixed use. But yes, I think that the clarification gets it for me.
Okay, still need a motion.
I'll move to approve the special meeting minutes of April 1st as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Okay, on to new business, downtown accelerator and Main Street plan. So we take it away.
I actually think it would be great for this target.
Okay.
I think you're.
Oh, you just wanted, okay,
All right, I can start, but you gotta help me. I was.
okay. Well, and I'll share, I'm gonna pull up the flyer, so that.
I'll enter it for me. So last night at the zoning meeting, we presented our Main Street Accelerator project, which we have adopted as a lamppost banner program, which is a long-term sustainable way of enhancing Main Street and our downtown area through art and storytelling. One of the goals we had was to slow not only vehicular traffic, but also enhance our pedestrian experience, increase pride in town, and so forth. And we're working in collaboration with the Historical Society and the 250 Committee for our first installation. And that will be featuring banners of hometown heroes. The gentleman that used to be right here, they're going to be featured on the banners and then alternating with the Muster 250 symbol, which has already been designed and finalized. So that was kind of an easy way of the first installation. And we're hoping to get it through by Memorial Day to show everyone who comes downtown for the parade, hey, this is what we're doing. That's our flyer that we have to develop as part of this accelerator program, aiming to get grant money to help fund this, but also through sponsorships and town support. Zoe, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that everyone, this was a good day to do it because we don't have any applicants today. It's unfortunate that Daniel isn't here, but that's okay, because Daniel is the PCC member that's been a part of the. But yeah, it was
And Stacy is a part
Yes.
of it.
So Stacy is the one that has been working with the Connecticut Main Street Center, did a downtown Main Street assessment, in partnership with them. And then, did the application to join this accelerator program. I think something that is significant is Deep River is, I think, the smallest community that is a part of this accelerator program cohort, and also is the most mixed in terms of representation on as a team, which is great. I mean, a lot of the other towns are either just like a municipal department or just like one group or nonprofit.
So just
And
an
it
internship.
has a good mix.
We have, so what Zoe is saying is, so there are 26 towns applied to be part of this program this year. 5 were selected. Deep River was one of them. The closest would be Westbrook, which is similar in they're bigger than us, but it's like geographically we kind of relate a small town, but Torrington, Fairfield, and the Rockville section of Vernon. So you kind of have like a huge, like Torrington has the Warner Theater. I mean, it's just like, so we're really learning a lot from each other and from this program. It's kind of a full program.
Yeah, so this is a uh an idea that hopefully will be able to go on in perpetuity, because once the brackets are installed, banners are going to be able to be put up and replaced for as long as there's somebody to do it and see the backup.
So one of the ideas too was we were talking at one of our first meetings about how the downtown plan could be incorporated into this group that was started and maybe that's the way we get that going. And so we don't know if that, and I think that's why we're here tonight to discuss whether or not that's something that you guys would be, willing to discuss. I mean, that plan is sitting there and
So part of this was also, yeah, so I thought it would be a good time to return to the downtown master plan, because this is a first step to actually kind of activating a strategy for Main Street. There's ways to continue to do so. I think the EDC and also this particular program could be that vehicle to have that continued engagement and enhancement of downtown. So I think first we can have any questions or comments about the specific thing, and then we can shift to kind of the broader downtown master plan and returning to that. So, but
So, so for my first question is, you wanted us in, should start this by Memorial Day. What do you need from us to make that happen, or do you not need anything? Okay.
it's enough.
I could stop to the company today and as soon as we get that, he sees no problem with having the banners ready by then.
Oh.
And yeah, it's a matter of the Department of Public Works, whether or not they're going to put up the hardware
Yeah.
for us now. And if the town's going to pick up the expense for that hardware, and then we get money for the banners. So, and then solicit through.
Money and sponsorship. So we're hoping this is an ongoing, growing program. One thing that the downtown master plan needs to help us with is mapping the lampposts, which has never been done. Like when they were installed, they weren't numbered or anything like that. So that's a crucial part of our sponsorship. We want to make sure the public and residents, businesses, whoever wants to be involved, is excited about this, realizes they're sponsoring a lamppost, not a banner. So the sponsorship will not be on the banners, it will be on the lamppost itself. Either as a sign that can be removed every installation and then reattached to the bottom of the banner, whether it's a seasonal banner, a veteran banner, a farmer's market banner, or a plaque. We're still trying to figure that out, but that sponsorship will be a year-long sponsorship for that post. So mapping the post is going to be important, because if we start with, say, our first phase of 32 lamp posts, which is an alternating between our hometown heroes and our muster, how do we grow from there? So first come, first serve, say all the sponsorships are taken, and we're going to release 10 more and so forth. So it's hopefully a sustainable program that grows and provides a financial way of funding future projects for downtown.
And for reference, so this is the a screenshot from the Ginkgo map that was implemented through
Right, so
Center
hopefully we can use a consistent to number them.
to kind of do some of the current streetscape assets, in which then hopefully, yeah, the lampposts that have banners can be added to track internally, and then
And the mounting hardware is non-invasive, it's surface mounting. So if
Correct.
somebody brings up that,
It is not
Yeah,
invasive,
sure.
and it is black to blend with the existing lampposts.
Do you have a count on the lampposts already, or do
Do we have what?
you have a count on them already, or you just need somebody to go and locate them? Like,
We know how many banners we want to be as part of the first installation, and that's gonna basically start at Elm Street in Maine and go north and south. Equitable. So that's the first, but the lampposts in general have not been numbered. So basically our vision is, for this first installation, lampposts, 1 through 24, 1 through 32 are available for sponsorship. And then our next phase, posts 33 through 43 will become available. So Was that our question? Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
See if there's any more for
Are
you.
these they're gonna displace the American flags and the wreaths?
No.
They do?
The American flags are on the other side of the street on the utility poles. The wreaths, they will probably displace the wreaths on the poles that have brackets, but that is probably gonna be a good thing, so it will save money and eliminate waste, because we envision a seasonal installation along with storytelling, so there probably is some sort of festive holiday, you know, maybe even it's a wreath on a banner. But it will be something that we can use and reuse instead of just like up for 3 weeks, they turn brown and then we throw them out. And they turn them. I have banners in the car. If it would be of interest to anyone, I can bring them in. Samples. I didn't think it would be talking tonight, so.
No, sorry, I thought, you know, I'm part of the team, but really, this is like, you all have been just like.
And the other two members, Dan Smith, you guys know, and then Dan Batt, he's on the design review board. So those are the 5 of us.
I have a weird question. And,
Go ahead, Mike.
well, no. What's the criteria? What are the protocols for appropriate banners? Thank you.
So we're gonna obviously try and we're going to, we're not gonna try, we're going to find artwork, we're going to find stories that appeal to the broader public and have special meaning to Deep River. And that will be a community engagement. So we're not here to say, oh, let's, you know, promote this or promote this. This is gonna be a very, you know, pleasant, pretty, historical, whatever you call it, natural, so very benign.
I just know if somebody wanted to challenge or. could be-
There will probably always be someone who challenges. Maybe the cave people, we learned this acronym, because I don't ever heard of cave people. Citizens against virtually everything. So, we're prepared for 1 or 2 cave people.
Yeah.
I-
I like that. There's quite a few of them. There's quite a few of them.
You work for a municipality for more than 1 day.
The majority.
I'll run out and get the banners.
Thank you.
Oh, sure, my husband,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a good experience. Part of the program is that there are periodic trainings with Consent at Main Street Center. So you know, there's a professional development aspect, which I think has been useful for the whole group. It's continuing until June, I think is the
6
conclusion.
months of learning and also and putting in for the grant. So, which we might be doing differently, so that we can get them up by the end of May.
We're the only town of the 5 that is pushing as fast as we are, and that's really just because we wanted to align with the goal of the Historical Society and the 250th Committee of honoring the vets and the muster. So we're kind of like putting the cart before the horse, but we're hopeful we get them first.
I'm very confident with this group that it will be hard.
Good to know.
So, yeah, that's the update of just some of the early possibilities of including what was listed in funding sources in this master plan in action. So, but yeah, so that is that update. Thank you both for coming. I think it's better when it's not talking at you all, so hear me talk.
This is our very serious professional binder that we were given with multiple color tabs and links, so.
I've seen it in a similar program in the past. And I've gone to smaller towns with all the banners and stuff, and it does slow down traffic. And it's powerful, it's meaningful.
Which I'm glad you said that, because that's really the 5,000 is not a lot of money, assuming we get that entire 5,000. A lot of this is going to rely on town and sponsorship support. Also to grow the program, but what could we do that had the highest impact in the shortest amount of time with the limited resources we have to generate energy, to generate mood interest, to engage the community and like stakeholders involved. So we thought this was like the best way to go.
All right, so do we have to do anything with the master plan?
So, something that I realized, and so I'll start with an apology if I never shared this out with the full commission, which I truthfully don't recall now, because I finished it in November. I sent it to the committee. And then the holidays happened, and then I'm pretty sure just the housing bill happened, and I got a little distracted. And this happened, so I was just focusing on that one. So this is the iteration of the master plan that was shared and completed in November. Since then, there have been a few significant updates that I do think should be in the final version of this document. So there's kind of two parts to this. One is with this current version, with the areas that wouldn't need basically, because there's three things that I would want to put, not necessarily, I don't want to change what's in it, but I want to kind of add an update. So the first is I had a site analysis of the Smith and Wesson building, which was done during the period where it was not being occupied, which now it is occupied. I think, and I'm open to different opinions, but I think that actually having the site analysis of it as it is okay, and we can still say that at this point it is occupied again, because there still might be a time where the alternative analysis of what it can be used for empty again might be useful, and so that's number one. Number two is the steep grant application. At the time, we had not heard back yet, and that was for the sidewalk improvements in two locations in town, on Main Street over by the town green and by Landing. That was not a grant that we ended up receiving. However, I think that having it in there named, and actually the whole grant application is in here as an appendix item to show how to still fill out that type of grant application, I think is useful. So that's number two. And then number three is actually the Main Street Center accelerated program. So at the time when I wrote this, I had listed it as just, this is the potential funding and development source for the downtown. Since then, it has been put into action. And so I would then want to also just add an update of like, here's actually the progress made on that particular piece. So there's kind of two parts to this. One is reviewing and giving general feedback on the document for things that should just be revised, because I would like to have the Planning and Zoning Commission and EDC, so I'll have to do this with your commission too, basically vote to endorse it. It's not like the POCD where you have to adopt it, but it would still be good to have some sort of endorsement of like, you commissioned this and you are supportive of the outcome of what the plan is saying. So I want to review kind of the plan as a whole, but also go back and add in those pieces as either an update just right directly in it, or at the end that gives some updates of like 6 months in. So this plan is dated November, and then at the end or in it, I can put, basically for so we're for for May of just like 6 months into it, where are we with some updates. So that is my kind of overview of it. I know some of you received it back in November when I shared it with a smaller committee, and some of you I don't think did, which is my bad, because I definitely thought I'd shared it with the full commission, so apologies. So I don't expect us to have a robust conversation about it tonight, but I wanted to at least make sure it was shared and make sure that we have this initial conversation, so that I can gather feedback, so I can hear from you all hear some discussion, tonight, if there is any, or for a future meeting. So that this can be kind of more officially put on the record as the downtown plan.
I think the three things, the 3 points that you made were great, and like, especially with Smith and Wesson building, you don't know what's gonna happen in the year, so, yeah, for sure, if you can get us how you're gonna word that, and then send us a document,
Okay.
then we can say, yeah.
So this was, did we have to vote on this or did you guys accept?
No, so this is, and it's not like the PSC where you're officially adopting it. It's more like a just then voting to endorse.
It's a planning document, so you can say no, but it's still there,
Yeah.
right? It's,
So does it just need, like you were saying, it just needs like a 6-month update type of thing?
Yeah, so that's what I would like to add to it.
Yeah.
But not, my thinking is I'm not gonna change what's currently written in
Yes.
that sense. I'm just gonna add an update of,
yes.
here's what was recommended in November, here's an update 6 months later.
Yeah.
The only things that I would change is if this group thinks that like something needs to change in like some of the recommendations that I made. So I, have recommendations that are in here based on some of the analyses. And, if we think, you know what, I don't think shared parking agreements should be in this plan, or, oh, I think this specific thing needs to be changed, I can still make those changes. The only things that I want to kind of retain are those 3 things that I said. Generally, it would be good to have like, here's the analysis during this time frame. Here's the progress report.
Because I feel like if you start being like, oh, I can change this, oh, I can change that, it's just like, it's ongoing.
Right.
Yeah. So
instead of like plan and then having like a 6-month updates or whatever, I think that's a better.
it's just that, you might one of the top end, maybe behind you. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
Just to let you know, I have an appointment with CEO Chapco to discuss the empty floors
Nice.
with Dale Krupp. And I thought, I don't know if you wanted to attend. Carol, I didn't know if you wanted to attend. I know you met with Dale. Do you attend?
If you can give me a date and time, that would be something I could certainly attend.
So just to discuss what's going on and how we can figure something out. Put in there, and also about parking there on weekends.
yeah, there's a large lot, which is part of the downtown master plan site analysis, is the fact that they do have that large lot that I don't think employees are filling.
They're not, he's already agreed to it, but we'll discuss.
So, yeah, if you send me a date, and if I can't make it, I'm sure somebody else can,
Okay.
so.
Sure.
And we can talk about block parties that are gonna happen in that parking lot.
Well, events are one of the for
Are you allowing kind of comments?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't talk.
I would love, and I know you guys meet often, and I apologize for suggesting this, but because the town voted to spend ARPA money on this plan, I would love if you could have kind of a town, informational meeting, and invite residents in to see the product, because it's a really good product, and I think people would find it very interesting, and then maybe you'll get some outside comments that haven't been really even posed yet or addressed yet or something. And so if that's something that would fit in, I think it would be interesting to the residents,
I'm happy to.
And of course, they're always happy to see actually spent money and here's the product, instead of, oh yeah, we voted on that and did it ever happen, so.
Like the POC, I'm playing a lot of input and it
Exactly.
helps shape a lot of stuff, so, yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, we have to.
My recommendation would keep any of the amendments as amendments and not edit any text, because the context of that changes. And then you can evaluate any addition into this document. It may recur every 6 months or may occur at, certain benchmarks and events that happen.
Yeah.
And then you can follow the evolution of the plan and amend it as it goes.
Yeah.
But
Do you think it would be better for me to just make a separate document so we can have the November 2025 and then I could do like May 2026, just 6-month updates instead of instead of adding pages, I'll just make a different document.
Yeah, that's why I say as an appendix, it'd be a standalone. We
Okay,
publish an appendix with a date on it and it's part of the document, but it's a virtual document. You don't have to physically append it to the. But yeah, and then it's a nice living master plan. Which would be conducive to put in online, I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
okay, so I'm gonna do it as appendix item, kind of a 6-month update.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Since we did not have vote on here,
That's all I had. You all know already. Email me any thoughts or feedback, and I will do the little 6-month update for May.
all right, anybody else? If not, I'm gonna move on to old business. Continued discussion with the go ahead.
We want to see the signs and the banners.
I forgot.
Let's go.
They got in here.
So these are samples, this is the one from Deep River, but they're a hometown hero program. This is one of the examples that we have to choose from. So this would be this would be like the first installation, but honestly, our goal is to honor living veterans as well as EMS fire, people that we have many different types of hometown heroes. So the first installation is going to be something like this with featuring those gentlemen there. And then just from an art perspective or from an event perspective, they sent us this sample. So really telling, making downtown like a gallery, like a living showpiece to kind of say, here's what Deep River is all about. So it could be anything from, we talked about maybe Deep River high school seniors, just the Deep River seniors, to farmers market, to horseshoes, to anything that makes our community special, but tells a story at the same time. So that's that.
Thank you for running back and forth to grab.
That's my other.
So, onto item 5, old business, continued discussion on the regulations.
Okay.
All right, what you got?
Well, the first one is talking about solid waste facilities. Would you like me to share screen?
I would. So it's better to have it on the screen so we can go, oh yeah, that's right. That's where we made that mistake.
So in the document I shared, I just did the excerpt of that specific area, but in the OneDrive folder titled regulations discussion, you can access the full. It's under TMD for Turnpike Industrial. But this was the language specifically that we realized was more limiting than it was intended to. Under here is one possible amendment, which is to have it just say no such facility shall be located within 250 feet of a residential dwelling instead of abutting. But you could, this is just literally just a first pass, and this, I want you all to decide how to best deal with this or remove it, or however you think is best. But this was the one that was our sticking point when we actually mapped.
Can I ask for a favor?
Mhm.
Can you put the GIS up for a second?
Yes.
Did you already check this?
I messed around with this for, yes,
This one? Just-
well, when it was for a buddy.
I know, but I'm just like, let's check it
So,
and
yes.
see and.
But no, I have not checked it with the 250 feet that way.
Okay.
This is just the first pass of,
Yep.
it would at least narrow the scope to something that would hopefully not fall on what we did.
Yeah, I
But-
agree. I just want to check it so we don't change it and go, oh, it still doesn't work.
Absolutely.
So,
No, and I would rather do this as we were.
Well, I'm not sure I'm in favor of this language in particular, because it's putting restrictions on a residential lot. If somebody has a residential lot and they want to tear down their house and put the dwelling on the other side of their lot, it precludes them from doing so. So impinges
We
on,
just reversed our problem.
what's that?
We just it sounds like it's reversing.
Yes,
the
that's what he's saying.
problem. So we're just flip flopping the
Correct.
problem.
What you're doing is you're changing the regulations and impeding on the property rights of somebody who's in a conforming residential lot. I would suggest that we have the language be such that facility be located in a lot, and just make a conforming dwelling unit. Because the issue that we have is with
Or at the
non,
time,
what's that?
or at the time, like what it, like,
What we're doing is allowing non-conforming uses within an industrial zone to impede our regulations. And so that non-conforming use becomes the governance of our regulations, and it should not be.
I see what you're saying. So the language should be more of a conforming resident within 250 feet of a conforming residential
Lot.
lot. Okay,
Yeah,
I see what you're
it should be, remain a lot, because it goes with the property, not with a,
yes,
a structure on that property. And that if you had something that was non-conforming, that can remain there.
yes, okay.
But it shouldn't preclude other uses in that zone which are allowed as of right.
I see what, yeah. Let's play devil's advocate. How can that be thrown back at you?
so,
But we've already gotten beat up on this one once. Let's look at it a little bit harder.
No, I
so
agree. That's just my approach.
I do like that though, because you're right, because saying it the other way, you're saying if you're on this one here. If you're on this lot here and this guy decides, or you don't have a house there, but it is a residential lot and this guy builds right here, you can't build it.
but I think so we had, which one is this? The Scott's
Mhm.
447, I don't remember.
I think it's that one.
Where, yes, it is.
Oh.
So they had a pre-existing apartment that at first glance, I assumed it would be non-conforming, but it is not because of the caretaker unit provision in the regulations. So my concern is it still might limit what can be actually located in the blue areas. Because I think they might still be 250 feet away from anything conforming.
So, I mean, we could make it such that it's a conforming or a primary use. Because again, if it's a accessory use or a caretaker.
Where
then
residential is the primary use.
is that what it is? It's residential primary use. Then you have a caretaker.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Instead of a dwelling, a parcel that contains a dwelling unit, a parcel that is primary, like the residential is the primary use. Because
Yeah, actually,
that would make that not an issue.
I think you got it.
I had, but I say it because
So, no, I think
it's kind of a day where I can't believe it.
around so much, I forgot to. Basically, I think what we're trying to do is if the primary use of the surrounding neighborhood is commercial, right? And the accessory is residential, we want to scratch it somehow. So that's fine because it's accessory to the commercial use. Same thing with the big piece across the street. That house is accessory to the primary use, which is commercial. So we have to word it that way. Got it?
This,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have to do a parcel by parcel analysis
Yeah.
to make
Yep.
sure, but I think that
Yeah.
is close.
But the
enough.
intent is if it's zoned for something that a non-conforming use cannot preclude the as of right use within that zone.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Now, silly question. If this new Connecticut general statute went through that allows 15 units as of right in a commercial zone, and they beat these guys to the punch, does that then exclude this again.
In my opinion, no.
Well, I'm with you on that one. Because we're saying you have to have,
Right.
okay, I'm good with
Because,
that.
and the thing is, and that should go to court, because if you're allowing residential in an area that is not safe for residential because of the context, then the state should lose. We can't just accept that and look the other way, that
Yeah,
zoning
where,
has a certain purpose.
where are we ever gonna put commercial?
Right.
Right.
Yes.
You can have no commercial, you can have no industrial, you can just have residential.
Do we need to clarify the situation if it's something is a mixed use, or is if mixed use inherently saying that residential is therefore not the primary use? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. So mixed use would have the primary way you get residential is just to have, let's call it an office downstairs. The office gets you the residential, so that's the residential is secondary to the
Secondary.
I think you know that.
And I don't know, I'm tired and I'm running setbacks through my head.
Mhm.
I'm like nothing
Tony.
session, so.
Which lot has the dwelling on it that we didn't know about?
This one.
At the house on the hill.
Mhm.
Well, live there.
Yeah, I would too.
Those-
No, keep going.
Oh, no, oh, no.
That's it. Yeah,
There's a house up there?
there is.
Geez, that's a nice house.
I know.
So that would be the one that. Here's the whole-
So can you go back to the map for a second, Zoe, please?
So,
It's on lot 11.
and unlike, what we did with everywhere else, it's not like a little spot zone, we didn't draw a line around it. We encircled it, which was the right thing to do, but
No, I think we got it. I think if we can get the wording. Right,
Yeah, because that's not the primary use. The primary use on Scott's is not residential, Okay. And then even if, let's say, flip flop freaking gymnastics puts apartments upstairs, again,
It's
it's
not.
a mixed use, it's not a primary use.
We could even put clarifying language under the mixed use definition
I think we're gonna have to
is,
anyway.
is to specify that in a mixed use setting, residential is secondary.
Yes.
Because I could still imagine if there is an amount of vagueness that would.
I think we're gonna need that anyway.
in,
General
in
statute.
most regulations, it usually reads that the amount of floor area devoted to residential cannot exceed the amount of commercial space.
Yeah.
Which there was always a reason for.
That might be hard with some of our current.
Pre-existing non-conforming stuff.
It doesn't mean you can't, though. You can make them non-conforming and you don't need to change that use. But there's gotta be I think, a good public hearing disclosure to those who it might affect.
Well, perfect, the examples across the street. The pizza place wanted to do 2 apartments upstairs and we said no, because that's primary residential, or to be all residential. It'd be an even number, and we said no to that, it had to be more commercial than residential.
So all I had to do was block.
I thought it was fine.
No, it was because it was gonna have one residential and one office on the same floor, and you can't have.
Oh, I saw, okay, yeah. Shit, I'm sorry. Goes to what I know. What about over here?
Was not a factor.
No, okay. Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, because there's ways of getting around that design wise, like you just block off or you know, the stair access ends up being, you know, common entries with commercial, in which case, you know, 12 square feet. It's commercial and then the staircase, the rest of the staircase is residential, but is 12 foot differential. It's ways of doing it.
All right, I think we're on the right track. All right, so speaking of mixed use. How is that gonna work? Where does, so that is, we're gonna put that in all of ours, not, I think we're good here, I think we're gonna need to wordsmith that and we'll reconvene on this. But now that we're on the mixed use one, is that every zone that has,
Referring to this new statute.
yep,
So,
every commercial zone and every industrial zone? Because in the industrial park, I don't see that happening.
so there have been mixed interpretations in terms of where industrial falls in this. I think that for now, we could preserve the industrial aspect and let us see how things play out.
Okay.
But that is, once again, my opinion. I think that we should get an opinion from our attorney because that's always good to do.
Yep.
You know, I've heard multiple opinions from multiple attorneys already, but at the end of the day, we have an attorney that we pay that we should get his opinion as the one advising this commission.
I want to have my opinion.
Well, you can tell him.
I understand.
But if we wanted to get more kind of particular about it, what I would say is we should look at each specific industrial zone and what the uses are that are there. For example, just making sure that like each industrial zone really encapsulates what industrial is in terms of manufacturing, which I think is a justifiable standard for not wanting to allow residential because that's the basis of zoning in the first place. Meanwhile, there are industrial, quote unquote, industrial zones or post-industrial areas that we have already witnessed just across the state that have been converted to more like light commercial retail apartments. And so in that case, if we have industrial areas that are not actually being used industrially, I think it warrants a different conversation, is what I'll say.
Yeah, that's simply a rezoning, because an enterprise zone, of which case you capture the crossover and there may be, you know, light fabrication or artisans or whatever with residential, and there's a model for that.
Yeah,
But-
I agree. I think it's a matter of looking at the current zones instead of allowing for residential in a truly industrial zone. But I do think like that's where things would get sticky if you were to maintain something as residential as an industrial zone that could actually facilitate residential in a way that would make sense.
Well,
Yeah, so we have to look at that. And then one other thing I would like to ask Ken, along with that, with our discussion about talking about Main Street and how we have commercial on the first floor, apartments on the second. Ask him his interpretation of this new housing law with respect to what's already existing in town, commercial, residential, or as opposed to somewhere where someone actually takes an empty lot or a lot and demolishes the whole building and wants to build new and do all residential. So ask him if there's a difference there where we can still preserve what's existing. And someone can't come in with an existing building and say, well, that's an apartment sort of put in downstairs. As opposed to we're going to take this building with the whole thing down and build new and make it all downtown. Ask him if there's a difference so that we can protect what's existing.
so part of my issue, the reason I keep harping on the industrial is, go back to this. You say, okay, the housing bill doesn't include industrial. And somebody tries it here, and then you say, well, it's not safe. There's already a residential house there. So it's safe for them, but it's not safe for the new people. So
It's non-conforming, so it's on the
I
same.
know, I'm just,
But it's.
It was pre-existing, non-conforming.
I know, but I'm
We
just saying.
don't wanna, right, that's, yes, no, I agree.
That's my worry is that how do you handle that?
'Cause we
Yeah,
don't
I
wanna
think
be-
that area and the village industrial are both the areas that I think are the most challenging.
That's,
With making sure it's clear. I think the commercial drive industrial zone is way more straightforward.
So those are what, three things now I've got.
it's this one, right? The one that I made him change to brown. So here. Yes, and I would fix this in village industrial. Okay.
Part of it too is, it's not just a matter of zoning for health and welfare and safety that they're incompatible, but it's a matter of the economic sustainability. As industry changes, so the industry is not necessarily just heavy manufacturing. Industry could be and is in fact forever medical devices, smaller things. It could be, you know, something you can do in your house with the 3D printing, essentially.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be like, well, it's unsafe to live there. But sustainably, we need to preserve a certain portion of the town, the proportion of the land that those activities can take place. So if it's all. Otherwise, we're zoning for strictly residential communities.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think it's especially because Deep River has taken a stance of preserving the small town character. Small town character is derived from the diverse use of making a living, and whether you're, you know, whether it's professional services or making stuff or fishing, farming, whatever, is preserving that mix of uses. And ensuring that can't be pushed out by making it a bedroom community.
So our intentions are to deal with the commercial zones at the moment, ask Ken about the industrial zones. And we're going to,
And the scenario that
right, tear down, rebuild versus.
Yeah, because we have a lot of properties for sale in downtown right now.
Mhm.
So if someone wants to come in and rehab those into strictly residential where there is an existing commercial, we want to preserve the commercial. Tearing down and rebuilding is a different story. So let's see what the difference might be.
Gonna mention, we had at one point written a demolition delay ordinance, but the previous administration, we didn't want to act on it. So maybe we bring that back up because that helps in these situations where you don't just get a demo permit.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good discussion.
So that's our other village industrial zone, right? Is the brown on the
Yep.
lower
Yeah.
left. So how many other properties are in there?
four,
Four?
oh no, five.
How the hell can you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4,
The
5.
number.
Yeah.
There are no numbers.
So
What the hell is this?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, what is?
that's the jeweler thing.
That's Bill Burdick's house, yeah?
No, that's a
It's a verdict.
Yeah, that's Bill Burdick's house.
That's odd.
oh, I thought it was, I was thinking that was.
That should be.
Yeah, these both should be green.
Somebody should tell them they're not safe there.
Yeah. Jesus.
That's why this bill exists, because there's industrial zones like that. Why?
But wait, I mean, we have an industrial building abutting that
Yeah, we do. It's this one.
34 on Grove Street.
Yeah. That's
That
that's
is a
the one.
fabrication facility.
Yeah, that's probably what's supposed to be brown.
We missed.
The church is on the.
Wait, what is this listed on, the assessor's card? On the
It's
assessor's card?
separate lots.
It's
Hold on.
It's two separate lots.
village residential. Okay, yeah, so the assessor has it listed.
So,
There's a
Wait.
church.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not a church anymore, right?
And that's,
It's Jewish synagogue.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there was a.
Yeah.
cross on
Yes,
it.
you're right. But yes, you're right. That is that. Okay.
I know where we are now. Yeah, I know that building.
We're gonna have to relook at that.
Yeah, why would they put that?
The previous CEO did a whole bunch of stuff like this. Right? Why would schools be in a zone where you can't have schools? Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting that we do have a industrial.
It's okay,
building,
you
but
could admit that sometimes the map is changing.
Oh, boy, we knew it was coming. Oh, boy. Well, so it sounds like we don't.
That's good for me.
I mean, it sounds like we're gonna have to look at this too.
Yeah, there's a cup, yeah, oh, so that's where the jeweler is, so here,
You're talking the
This
Deep
one.
River Jeweler?
yeah, right, in the Murray house.
No, it's off of West Grove Street here, right there, 34. So, and I'm not sure it's a jeweler, there was a jeweler in there before. And they were looking to expand their operations, but they tumble stones and.
Huh.
Yeah, I think that's it. They got a big parking lot, they get big semis back there.
Good.
Grove.
Yeah, it was Eve's addiction.
Even,
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now we're looking at the map. So
Is he still in there or is someone else in there?
No, I don't know. It's a-
So how about for the next
It's Grove. right there.
meeting, I'll have basically an audit of all of the current mixed use commercial and industrial zones of just like, here's what's currently allowed. Here's what might be a suggested
Yeah.
change based on the statute. And then at the end of the day, it's still up to this body what you want to do.
So. Do we have an overlay, and maybe all we have is on Main Street because of the survey that was done, but we don't have an overlay. Can we get an overlay from a tax assessor of non-conforming commercial or industrial uses on residential zone properties? Because I think it'd be good to map that.
I could create one because I mean, so the assessor's data is what is already listed when you click on the parcels. So when I'm mapping, that's the parcel data that I pull.
Right.
So I could create one based on what or like the assessor's data, and we could
Right.
compare it side by side to the zoning map.
Because can we import that parametric into our GIS or,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because if that's data that's associated with a property number, do they correlate to our GIS? So we have that information as to how that property is being taxed.
yes. So when you click on a property,
I did, that's what I was looking for. So this is in the,
so, and if you click on the online property card,
which one would you like?
down, that
Visual one?
yeah.
Okay, you don't like the CIA one either, huh? Okay, I'm good with that.
This is the one that I referenced. This is the assessor, like this is
Here.
the assessor's data.
Single family, village residential. That's
So I could make a map based on, for example, the description of like what is the described use.
Because like
Yep.
clicking around, that one.
Yeah, and so is that description, is there a finite number of descriptions?
Yeah,
It's-
there's, I mean, it would be more to look at than the zoning map, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
there are like a standard, like. It's
I think that
like,
we'd be able to flag, we'd be able to determine,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this is.
I
this is-
believe so. I haven't done it yet, but I believe so.
So I was gonna say, what you're gonna run into is like 500 commercial or 500 Main Street.
There's some that have multiple buildings, so that might be a challenge.
But,
But
well,
I think
it's not a challenge.
They're
it's
usually
flag.
listed
It's saying
as
that we got-
multi-building. Or I think they're actually listed as multi-building.
Yeah,
So
but that's
what I'm thinking.
that's right.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for flags that say, here's an anomaly. And if we have multi-uses, it's mixed use. And is it conforming, non-conforming, and figure out how we address that.
I like that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's start to fixing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, I am pretty sure I can do that based on data I already have. So I'll double check it, but I'm pretty sure I can just do that, right? And I could even make a more fun interactive map than the GIS here. Like the one that I did for Chester, where you can then click on and off and like get, if all you want to see is one specific type, you can click it and it'll just show the one.
How can we do special things?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, why are we just learning about that now?
Because this is what they're paying me to do for their DOH grant. You gave the DOH grant to someone else, okay?
I didn't. Yeah.
No, but I can make you
Get
one
the
of these
finger
that you
wet.
can.
I know, right?
Don't tell Tyke, they're gonna want to charge you more.
I were recording this.
Oh, yeah.
We're not gonna know.
No, but, yeah, so I can do that.
Okay.
And I'm always willing to go to bat for you, get you more money.
Wait.
Well, the planning's been remiss for years.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
And again, I should have said this earlier, but we have great volunteers who go out and do shit like this. We just heard that we were one of 5 towns selected and we're the smallest town out of everybody who applied.
Great.
Right, but that's because these people do a lot for the town that they live in.
Yeah.
You know? Don't
Yeah,
hand the
no,
ball.
I do think truly, like, when I spoke to the staff at the Connecticut Street Center, like, they really went to bat for the Deep River to make sure that the town was at the table for this, so.
They're good.
I just didn't want to hear from us. I'm like, please stop them from talking. Fine, we'll give them whatever they want.
So, and
Oh, you guys are
our
easy.
cohort, our cohort is ahead of everyone, so
Alright, good.
making good progress with everything, but. Yes, so I have 3 next steps, I guess. The first next step is contacting Ken Slater,
Yes.
town attorney, to ask questions. And then the 2 next steps for me are to do an audit of just what is currently allowed in any of our mixed use and commercial and industrial zones, so that we all can just see it a little bit more simplified than the full use tables. And then a map that hopefully I can create, just showing what the current use description is based on the assessor data. And I think that will be helpful to be able to see what that smattering of uses is, so. Okay.
While we're doing that, we might get an overlay of chickens.
Oh, God. Don't do that to me. Don't do it to me. Okay.
It's everywhere around.
Yeah.
You just don't know it.
Well,
That's it. I should be real fast. But the next one on the list is ADUs, which is all you anyway, Lisa, so.
Yay. It's all me.
it's all you.
ADUs.
You don't answer. You don't.
You gonna take this and run with it, or?
Oh, I don't know. It's accessory dwelling units. We don't have it up there. Do you have it on in your computers? Yeah, that's the red is,
Sure.
the red was a quick markup that I did probably a couple of years ago now, but
Yeah.
I handed it off to Zoe.
Oh, I'm gonna just, no.
No, you
This is step it
Yeah.
down. This is-
Where-
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
this is
find.
the one she put in one draft, the one she sent us in
Yeah,
the
okay.
email today. Yeah,
So. Page 2,
page 2.
That's deep in there.
You got far, didn't you?
there it is. Yeah. I had moved on to page 3 already. So.
So, one of the things here too, just so you know, and I need to get an answer and I don't know how.
Well, my big, can I fill it for a second?
Yes, you can, yeah.
So thank God you put this on the August 17th. You must work for me. I was just gonna take the percentage right out. Because that is always like a ridiculous thing. So if you read our regulation,
Mhm.
basically you take 30% of the house and the ADU, right? And then say you don't meet the number. So you shrink the ADU, but the whole overall number shrinks again. So you're just
Right.
SOL.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because you took the primary.
That's not how it's written.
Wait,
You
this one
normally,
is-
yeah.
This one is written differently than the Chester one.
Oh,
That's where in principle, yeah.
You guys fixed it already.
Yes.
okay, you had me running that we hadn't.
Well, because I thought it was the same as the Chester where it's not fixed and the math doesn't math.
This is completely Zoe's fault.
Clinton didn't work.
I was like, yeah, no, this was fixed already, which I apologize. No, because so the language, and maybe it was fixed when you adopted it or not, but the language in Chester, and I thought it was the same as language here, says 30% of the combined floor areas of the principal and the accessory, which doesn't make sense because you keep getting a smaller number every time you try to do the math.
Yeah.
That happened in Clinton with John, when we were doing our regs with John, and then it was here, and then it was Chester. So I'm like, well, there's the link. It's John's fault.
Right, so what's,
So,
I think ours is.
It just didn't get, but ours is right.
Except for the 30%.
Well, listen, when I did this like 2 years ago,
Mhm.
I started with a number because I didn't want to shock everybody. The 50%. I didn't want to go 60, 75, you know.
You should try shocking people. It's more fun.
I mean, I
1,000
don't
square
want to be
feet
a
is a lot for.
What was that?
Yeah, so it's 1,000 or the percentage, whichever is less. Really, what kind of happens is sometimes there's really small houses where then
Right.
the 30% of it is like
Nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
Even the 50% might not work, but
Yeah.
that
You know
was
what I would say?
But you can't do just up to 1,000 unless you say up to 1,000,
I mean, that could be
unless
bigger
that
than.
becomes
primary.
bigger than the primary. That's the problem.
So
You can't go bigger than the
You
primary.
know what I would say?
Unless, do you want that to be the primary?
What I would,
Does it matter?
well, I guess that is the question. Does it matter? as long
If
as
we
there's a
cap it
primary
at, if
accessory?
we cap it at 1,000, we're not creating.
doesn't matter, but it makes a
buildings.
difference. But what I would recommend. I've never had lost the recommend thing.
all right.
Is that, is that we shall not exceed 1,000 square feet. Or 50%, I think is reasonable. Unless the ADU is designated affordable housing. And then you can go to any size you want,
Up to 1,000?
No, any size.
any size you want. If you want to deed it. And it's twice the size of the principal. But it deeds it as affordable housing. If this is a family property,
Yeah.
yeah, I want my parents to have a good sized house. And if I precluded from doing that because of these stipulations, I could say I could designate it as affordable housing.
See, this is what I wanted to hear.
Well,
I
look at that.
didn't like the 50% either. I still thought it might be way too small
Look at my,
since we're capping at 1,000, but if we can word it that way,
Yeah.
why not?
See, the 50%, I'm
Except
okay with
that-
50, keep the
except that-
50% because that puts that in the, if you got a big estate or relatively large house. There's a reason to, you're gonna be small, it may fit that model of affordable housing. But if you want to exceed that, then you designate it as affordable housing. This is the
Okay.
approach I would
One
take.
other thing, the statutes say you can't have a
minimum.
primary, no, they can't have an accessory. No, you can't have an accessory building without a primary.
Right.
Building.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm all for that because there are gonna be, because health code building code, they're also gonna determine what's gonna fit or not fit, the setbacks, the
That's right.
coverage, all of that. So why get crazy with
Yeah.
50%?
So if they come in wanting affordable, they're probably gonna come in with the 830G, which gets rid of all the zoning anyways. So do we
It
have? to-
it doesn't. If we end up with enough affordable housing, then 830G has no play at all in the town. And
No,
we
no.
need to create incentives to get the
It's
affordable
not
housing.
gonna do. No, that's.
I think what he's saying is if you deed restrict your house affordable and it's 1,200 square feet instead of 1,000.
Right.
That goes in our favor and no big deal.
So the whole strategy,
Because most ADUs
Is-
right now are not deed restricted,
Right.
but tend to be, not always, but tend to be more naturally occurring
Right.
affordable. But if you deed restrict it, then it does help the town and it also protects that.
That's right. So if we incrementally, we don't have to meet our quota immediately, as long as we're incrementally moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Then it precludes the 830G from overriding our regulations. But in addition to what we do zoning wise, the town has to create some incentives for creating affordable units, because otherwise you're restricting your property with no gain. And if there was a tax incentive, is that the value of an ADU is taxed at 50% of what a primary residence or a rental, or a market rate rental would be. If you have a small rental unit, it's absolutely in your favor to restrict that as an ADU. And that there would be incentive for people to create these accessory apartments. And the tax burden is not a lot, because you're still getting the tax revenue from the primary residence.
Mhm.
But you're getting what we as a town needs, which is housing that meets new home buyers or retirees or,
Right.
That segment of the population. It keeps it a cohesive population and doesn't make it a financially restricted housing
So
market.
if it's not gonna be deed restricted, then we stick with a percentage, but can we go up a little bit above the 50%, maybe?
I'll go 52.
Above 60?
Don't make me do 50%. I'm
kinda like-
the one that has to do that. now.
love 52% just for that reason, though.
Because we're still capping it at 1,000. So you're still not gonna get crazy. You're still gonna cap it at 1,000. So if someone has a 2,000 square foot house, that's gonna be 1,200. If it's not deed restricted, they gotta go back to the 1,000. So
Yeah, but what if you have let's say an 800 square foot house?
that gives you 480. 480 is still
50.
kind of small with
Yeah.
the 60%. So that's what I'm trying to,
Wait,
trying to get a
52. Get it
higher
for 52.
60%.
All right, fine.
That gives you 480.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's still too small.
all right.
I don't think it's too small. I think.
Because you're an architect.
Then,
It means you have the skill to.
because, well, no, I'm just looking at it from a need standpoint is
We need,
we need studio apartments.
we need the smaller.
It doesn't mean you can't build 480.
Well, I-
It just
Yeah, but
means
if
you're
we-
not.
Union Street apartments, you can't get into, and those are all 400 square feet.
Right.
They're a little over, it's like 410, 420, but those are tiny and you can't get in. So you're not wrong. I just like to play devil
Is that for the
advocate.
price or the size?
What's that?
Was that for the price or the size? Like,
Uh,
are they wanting to give
they're-
you the price?
They're
or
way
the
more
size?
expensive than when I was there, so.
Yeah.
Every-
Yeah, there's no question that small units are desirable. There's,
Yeah.
there's,
So much interest to say.
It doesn't.
I think we're moving in the right direction, going
I'm
from
also
30
leaving
to
it at
50.
50 or I'll change
but
it.
I would err on the side of conservative, saying we need small.
Yeah.
We need to advocate for small units. And then if it's a little teeny tiny house, it's on a postage stamp size lot, then do you want to have, essentially multifamily on a tiny lot?
For the,
You would have two. You'd have the primary and the nexus.
Yes.
And the
And again, health.
thing is,
setback,
when it comes to
comfort.
an accessory unit too, it's like, it can be like standalone, right? So.
Yes.
Mhm.
But if it's on a postage size stamp, now you're back down to either smaller or you can't have it. So we're not,
Yeah, there's
We're
no
not
lot
creating big-
coverage.
you know,
No.
it doesn't mean you have to build that big. It means you could build that.
Yeah.
big. But a lot of people might want to build 480 square feet. That's fine. I think they should be able to, but I don't think people should be restricted to that if they can fit 520 square feet.
So that would then be 54%, you're right. All
I
right.
hate math.
We're gonna get another round of this anyway, so it doesn't have to, I mean,
So-
we know we want to go up and we're gonna have to vote, like, this gotta go to a public hearing, yada, yada, we are getting our regs, so.
Yeah.
There's plenty of discussion on that,
So,
52%.
so I know that the affordable housing is based on what, 80% of the median cost.
Which, right, he used this, whatever's, correct me if I'm wrong, whatever.
So is there a number?
Count.
Yeah.
Is there anything associated with square footage, or is it just with the market rate?
It's the bedrooms. So the more bedrooms, the more you can, the more money it is,
That's how they're determining
the number, yeah. So you're right, small units are more cost effective. Even though affordable is still not always affordable.
so. There's no easy way to do it. I mean, I was gonna say maybe limit it to one bedroom, don't want to do that either.
I wouldn't want to do that.
I'm not for restrictions, but I'm looking for ways to. For incentive to create the affordable housing, so then. Zoning has some reason to be. You know what I mean, because otherwise. With
But here's the-
E30G and this other legislation, it's like, there's no way to preserve. Character, or just the integrity of our zones.
He's a character, that's why I use him. The,
But if you restrict it too much, then they could decide not to build at all.
But that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm looking at the other end of the table to create some incentives.
I also think 1,000.
And because that would be a model for all the towns in, I think, for every municipality, that is to say, because instead of saying, you know, we're gonna override your zoning, and you can put housing wherever you want.
Yeah.
It destroys the towns.
Right.
But if the towns could say, here's an incentive, we need housing for, you know, people aging out, we need housing for people entering the market, we need housing for all these reasons.
I agree with that.
Create incentive to get it, not.
Don't put it all on zoning.
restrictions.
And your
Yeah.
restriction on square footage is gonna, I mean, you're not gonna shove, you could, but you're not gonna shove four bedrooms.
Because the amount of people you could go in,
I mean, you could, but it's
it's just
No, you
slightly
can't,
less.
because building code is one that's gonna
Right,
stop
you're still
you doing
taxing
that,
the primary residence.
because
I
it
guess-
has to be set.
That's what we need as
they threw it away.
house share.
It has
There's
to
also
be
something
set.
about it.
Like, I'm thinking, and it's
That's why I
7
wanted to
feet
put
in
it
one direction.
accessory dwelling unit for aging
The-
folks. I
getting
don't
jump
need it to be
statutes
bigger
made.
to make it be
Thanks.
compliant.
July.
Yeah.
So maybe the real small.
So actually, so that's what I was trying to say, is like, yeah, okay, we limit the small size, basically, gonna be some market rate.
Of course.
So if you're doing something
There's a reason
and you're
for it.
looking for a
It's set
reason
by-
to accommodate certain populations, like, we're not gonna.
Yeah, no, it's just a
Yeah.
Build it, and.
start.
There's still some tax revenue.
And then the other stuff, curb cuts and the parking, here's where you're, some houses, to get to the backyard park, you have to park in front.
Yeah.
What is the problem? Okay. Yeah, so that's why I got rid of all that other stuff, it's because there's just. A reason for it.
Anything else on that?
I think you earned your gavel.
I'm gonna
I can see that.
start it at 4 AM, so.
Yeah. I vote every day, it just has to be a different one every day.
Okay, so if we're good with that, are we just gonna move on, because we got more regulations to work on again?
Yeah.
We're doing them all.
Well, those were the two that I, slated for today. And then I just included the language from the Public Act 25-1, but I think we talked about it a little bit, and we talked about the fact that I'll do an audit of the zones that would be affected for next time, so I don't think we need to do anything more on that tonight. And then I just basically took, I went back to the movie and organized things into these categories. So that as we are looking at having discussions, we can reference them. The most miscellaneous right now is just a few things that where things are mentioned but don't really fit. But it's about overlay zone to accommodate community gatherings, and then which might link a little bit to our PRD discussion and the schools, and if there's something that makes sense for those types of municipal and community oriented facilities. And then I also dropped in here complete streets in terms of, you know, if there's anything that we want to look at if we're talking about parking and streets that they pertain to zoning, not all of it pertains to zoning, but you know, this is planning and zoning, so it does pertain to the planning part. So this is just a way for us to reference things, or if we want to dig in at some point by category, like for example, obviously agriculture is just going to be its own conversation. So here is what was in the POCD, and then in the OneDrive, I made our current regs available in several PDFs so that it's not all in one, so that we can just look at commercial agriculture. We can just look at activities and agritourism. And then I've started to drop in some resources and references pertaining to zoning for agriculture. And I also do have a handy dandy
Snacks.
physical book. If we want.
Nice.
So planning for agriculture. So, and then some of these other ones, you know, housing is a big topic, so it'll be more specific, you know, when we're talking about the village, I can pull out things that mention the village and housing, for example, versus looking at planned residential developments, which do, and then promoting ADUs. So we can start to link back to when we're having a discussion, what was mentioned in the POCD in relationship to those. So it's at least here to help just guide or ground or anchor some of the conversations.
I think that worked well.
So that's all I've got for tonight. And I am here to listen to anything else in terms of next steps or priorities beyond my little to-do that I made note of for myself here.
If we're gonna do outdoor vendors, outdoor events and stuff, should we talk about vendors?
We should. Let's get, we had a whole bunch of background on it, so let's probably get that back together again.
Okay. I'll shoot at the top. I'll drop stuff there next.
That's it for raves.
It's not a slow part, but it's the way that my brain works to help organize, so I apologize.
How many sessions do you think it'll take us to get through these, especially if you do them topically?
I think at
Yes.
first it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be a little like,
Right.
once we get going, it should go, you know.
I was gonna say another meet, like another not planning zoning meeting would probably be helpful too.
Well, I think it would be helpful is if we began to address these with public input. You know, if we had, you know, we're addressing our regulations topically, like agriculture or like you know, outdoor events, that we should solicit the input from the other stakeholders. Like we did with the POCD.
Like a survey? To
Not
start-
necessarily a survey, but allow it to be a public conversation, allow public input.
I don't think we got enough yet to do that, though. I think
Well-
we need to get something put together. So
Right, but what I'm saying is strategic, if we find out what these areas are we going to address in the regulations before we we revise regulations and put them in place, that we have some
Oh,
open
yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Because we should find out what the, what could be impeding or is of concern. Not that that's going to, it doesn't mean we have to heed that, because we may have a different objective, we may want to restrict things, but I think it'd be important to just get those voices in here, because it's helpful to get those perspectives.
Yeah, no, like I say, helped a lot at the P O C D, so I think I think you're good.
So how would we like to kind of approach it then? Do we want to, like, each meeting dedicate time to a topic and do some outreach to stakeholders we think are relevant? Like for agriculture, I would imagine we would want to try to get anybody running a agricultural operation that we know of here.
We're talking real farms or ones that have a bunch of chicken on
Both,
them?
anyone doing agricultural operations, I think.
Yeah. It's-
Yeah.
Because I think it's gonna take some,
No, I-
some more brainstorming
Yeah.
to figure out what is it we're addressing. But industrial zones, we have to address that, find out where is industry going, especially if we're gonna take the stance of saying, it's like, we need to protect that. What are we protected for? Agriculture, what are we protecting that for? If we're gonna create enterprise zones, if we're gonna look at the Smith and Wesson factory and say, well, it's not, that's evolving. It's not a viable industrial area and it shouldn't be industrial. Well, what should it be? Just have some, identify that that's an anomaly. We do that. And then try to solicit input from
Yeah.
stakeholders in town or other experts, and once we brainstorm and say, these are all the zones and the regulations that we need to do. If we publish that and say over a period of 4 weeks or maybe 4 months, we designate a session to address these topics with public input. And so schedule, the public meeting.
There's some that I think would be helpful to get, some expert opinions too, because I do have concern about vocal minorities skewing things that are not.
Absolutely, exactly. And that's why I say you put it out there and you can invite Essex and Chester to participate. So have this discussion. We want to know what you're doing in terms of industrial zones relative to municipal waste and tiny homes.
I do get periodic questions about tiny homes.
Mhm.
That's true.
We get them all the time, so.
Well, Lisa doesn't want tiny homes. She wants them all to be, 60% the size.
Well, I just tell them, so would be you. But yeah,
But anyway, I think just make it more of a public forum.
No, I think that's probably.
But also bringing in experts to guide some of our discussion. We brainstorm, say, these are areas that we got to wrestle with.
so for next time, I think what I'll do is just focus on prepping as it regards the public acts, because that is something that I can just do administratively, and honestly, public input doesn't matter because the state is
Making it
fine.
fun.
So it's really up to this commission how much you want to challenge or not challenge it. So I'll start with that, and I'll also start with basically a list with a potential kind of timeline of the bigger categories of conversations, with starting to think about stakeholders to reach out to, and I think everyone on the commission should also think about that.
Mhm.
Because I very well will miss somebody that should be at the table. So I can come up with just the categories and an approximate timeline for those sessions.
Mhm.
And as a group, we should think about how to do any outreach and the key stakeholders or expertise that we want to have at the table for those discussions.
Mhm.
Does that sound good for next time?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna throw it right back at you. ZEO reports.
I don't know, I've been talking a lot already.
Nothing big, so.
Just
Is anybody giving you trouble?
things, knock on wood, have been quieter, so we're just gonna. Everyone,
Yeah, you
please
shouldn't
knock,
have said that.
please knock, everyone knock on wood, thank you.
The,
Yeah, no, we're, I think, like I said last time, I'm getting to a more normal pace of things again, which is good. So that as we're digging into this, I can also kind of get back to the more normal, like, compliance and enforcement, cadence instead of it being very sporadic and then kind of bogged down by other things. It's my quick report. So things are getting back to a normal pace, knocking on, everyone please knock on wood.
Continuous.
I'm gonna do that.
I was gonna say, and then the next one's regulation discussion, so I'm just gonna skip
Yeah,
that.
that's,
Is
that
that-
was this.
Attorney, if you guys would jump on, give some dates, because we do have to have a
Oh, yes.
discussion with Ken.
Yeah.
About ongoing litigation. We'll leave it at that. And while you're.
Are we thinking?
you guys tell me. I probably want to pick a couple dates because he has not replied as of this morning.
Yeah, if we could pick like two. At least, yeah, 2 dates that would work for this group. Of course, you know, it's also lacking and Carol, this would also you too, which I don't know if you have access to your calendar right now, but
How soon do we want to do this and how they can do this? Can we put some pairings and where we're looking?
Yeah, like the next Wednesday, so.
I would say the sooner the better. I think if we look at the next 3 weeks, what is possible?
You just said Wednesday?
Third, the first week of May, I'm late. There's nobody.
Yeah, that's. As you see, first week of May. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well,
The, yeah. I could do a Zoom.
We've ruled all of next week out. Is that
No,
No.
anytime next week is fine with me.
yeah, or the week
the
after.
week after?
Well,
Every day except for the 1st of May.
Um, the next 2 Mondays and Tuesdays I can do. I can't do the Wednesdays. Going on the 30th for a while. 23rd is out, so
Tuesday, I can't do Monday.
Tuesday's good.
Can't do the 21st.
you can't do the 21st.
So
Do 28. We do that.
it's fine with me.
I can do 28th.
I can do the 28th.
Any text them? 28th work for you.
Got off. I turned off, not disturb for 2 seconds and have like
Yeah.
12 things.
Oh, I get it.
The 28th at what time?
28.
What time?
28th.
Do we care? I mean, it can be a Zoom, right?
I guess I was looking at all. Looking at emails.
That's fine with me.
I have some availability next week days.
Yeah, man.
So let's say 28th at 6.
I'm fine with that.
I might be late, depending on,
6
I'm chairing a meeting at 5 on the 28th,
Okay.
so. But
Push it back to 7.
yeah, 6:30 or 7. 7 would be safe, but.
So 7.
Okay.
I can't do that if you can. Only because that's Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance meeting.
I think it would be good to have. Hopefully, second, we're gonna have
What was with the 27th?
and check.
Why you do 27th as well?
The what?
27th.
27th is a Monday.
Yeah, this is a bad time of year.
This is gonna be an executive session, right? No action taken. So build it around the selectmen and then whoever can attend, right?
So
Does that make
29th
sense?
work?
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, we should build it around Carol and Tony. Being able to be there
Yeah.
for sure.
I was gonna say after, again, anytime after that. So if the 29th works for you, Carol,
Wednesday works as well. Could do Monday or Wednesday.
29th is Wednesday, so.
Yeah.
10th. Can everybody try and make that work?
I can do that.
Okay. Same bad time, 6 o'clock.
Okay, so I'm gonna hold PZC. Yeah, I'll check with Ken and hopefully that works for him.
Tony had that choice.
I'm not screen sharing anymore. I'll email him.
Okay, while you're doing that, I got nothing.
Six.
I got nothing for budget. There's nothing for the COG committee. Chairman, the only thing I was gonna do was harass Carol a little bit for our zoning ordinance. That was gonna be on the next town meeting.
Yeah, I wanted to reach out to you and kind of circle back to all those. So can we kind of email, to tell me what we're, because we were thinking where we are with the blight and the short-term rental, like all that. And it's like, where are we with all those things? Because Attorney Marsh went away for the month of February and it kind of put everything on the back burner.
Yeah. The big one was the zoning stuff because it has our budget in there. And that one Ken looked at, we really did the legwork on that one. So at least the zoning one,
And that's with the new fees, you mean?
yeah, with the new fees and all that.
Okay, that one was ready to go.
Yeah. We'll have to, I'll look into the other ones.
Okay.
Payment of bills? I don't, none, it's fine by me, adjourn.
Adjourn.
Next. Okay,
That's a second.
No,
Yes.
awesome. Thank you, guys.
Couple questions before you guys adjourn. I mean, you're already adjourned, but I mean, before you disperse.
Yep.
If somebody wanted to be a dog breeder, where does that fit in with its own